Valentina, right here, Valentina Giraldo began belly dancing at the age of 10. She began as a child and she grew up in the heart of the community that she now represents. She's based in like the Miami area. Today, she's a Miami-based performer, influencer, entrepreneur, one of the top dancers for luxury weddings and cultural events within the Arab community. And she has a background in psychology. She's a smarty pants. And she uses that on her platform to empower women and to honor the cultural roots of the dance that helped shape her. So welcome and thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited. I love your the way that you interview and your live talks, and it's just so exciting to be, and I'm honored to be here. This is awesome.
Honor is mine. Thank you for coming. Thank you, thank you. So I know that for background of like, how we met or everything, I've known Valentina for a very long time. A very, very long time since her first competition, which was like probably 15 years ago, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
And I met her when she was doing her competition piece, and I was like, who's that girl? I was like, she's competing in juniors. She should be competing in pro. Like, she was like a little prodigy. I was like, who is this girl? And then I met her, and I was like, oh, she's so sweet. And we just like hit it off over time and over the years, and here we are.
Oh my gosh, I remember going to competitions and seeing you in
Yeah.
pro category, and I'm like, oh my gosh, she's amazing.
Oh my gosh,
I
the day.
remember that. There's like a couple costumes of yours that I even remember, just like seeing on stage. And you always were known to like still you have like the most amazing costumes, and I remember seeing that. Like it stood out to me always, and your musicality.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So today we're going to be talking about some pretty deep things. So everyone, if you have questions and everything, we will answer them at the end. By all means, comment, write them down. We will answer them. I think, as always, I like to do a really quick reminder, like what is Let's Talk Belly Dance? What is this about? What's the mission? Basically, this podcast show is amazing. We get to interview artists and professionals in the industry and talk about the things that are usually talked about behind the curtain, as I like to say. You will not see those just out and about. These are things that are pretty tough, deep conversations and issues that we go through. And they're not fun, but we grow a lot. And so it's great to hear a different opinion, a different perspective, and bring that to light so other people just know that they're not alone. It's not easy doing this in this industry. So that is that. So our backgrounds and what we bring to the conversation as far as the topic of today, which is growing up in the belly dance industry, which Valentina knows a lot
Ooh,
about. So tell us, Valentina, tell us about when it started at the tender age of 10. Bring us on the
oh my,
journey.
I remember my mom put me in my first belly dance class. I was around 10 years old, maybe yeah, around 10 years old. And this world was so new to me. It was crazy. It has a lot to offer. But I think that growing up in the industry, I also grew up as a woman in the industry. And that's like how my journey, I think, is a little different. I developed as a teenager, as an adult, like going through the motions of what dance is like, what this community is like, and going from someone who just thought this was a hobby and it was fun to actually making it a whole career.
Yes, yes. I know you went to school for psychology, like I mentioned before, and then you entered with the UN, which is pretty cool. You focus on mental health, for specifically like for women in the Arab community, like Arab American women, which I think is really interesting
Yes,
how that ties to what you do. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because I think that plays into what we're going to be chatting about for sure. It definitely influences.
absolutely. So I actually went to the University of Central Florida, UCF, and that's actually how I got close to Jen because, I lived in Orlando close to her. And during the time, I went to school for psychology and I concentrated mostly on women's mental health. And I did undergrad research for Arab American women and their mental health and how it implicated post 9/11.
Mm.
So it was a very like tough topic, and there was a lot of things that I also realized it overlapped with the Latino community,
Mhm.
and how first generation Latinas and first generation Arab American women had a lot of the same struggles trying to navigate this world. And it was just a very interesting conversation for me. It was, I did it for the United Nations.
Mhm.
So this was all during 2020 when the world was also kind of like up in the air. I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I always had belly dance there, and I danced through college too. I was working and gigging in Orlando. I had the internship with the UN. I had a day job. I was doing full-time school, and I just kept going.
Mhm.
And I think that also my dance helped me a lot with school, because I also realized, and I was able to talk to a lot of women face to face, and I realized the struggles that are happening in the community. So I was very passionate about it. I went into the UN and I interned for about 6, almost 8 months. And then COVID hit. And from there, they let me go. Because of course I'm an intern, I don't have a job, like I'm just, just doing undergrad research on the computer, like mostly updating a lot of stuff. So
Everything was getting cut in that time.
it was the
Right.
time. And
Yeah.
during that time, I ended up just like really cultivating, like I just like went to dance and I started cultivating the art that I had and that I had forgotten. Not forgotten, it was there, but I just wasn't really like, I was just dancing. I
Mhm.
was just gigging. That's it.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I'm like, you know what? What if I make a business out of this? And I sat down with my mom one day and I remember, and I told her, I have a psychology degree. I graduated. I have this, I have that. I'm like, but I want to dance. And she's like, okay, I'm going to tell you this. You have the option. Just do it. I sacrificed so much for you to live your dream. Just do it.
I
But
love
do it the
that.
right way. That's what she told me. She goes, do it the right way.
Which
Because
is
she goes, do it all in. Like,
ah.
stay true to yourself, but go all in. Do it the right business way.
Mhm.
Instruct yourself with how you're going to do this. Like, my mom started to just like talk to me. My whole family was really supportive about it. And I was
That's
like,
awesome.
this is amazing. So
Yeah.
I ran with it.
I love that. I love that. I
I
love
ran
that.
with it.
It's like your passion then basically grew into something a lot bigger, which you're doing today, a lot bigger. Which we will get into here very shortly
Yes.
for everyone watching. My background is basically I started at 19. So I didn't start as a child, so a lot of this is definitely I just love learning of your story and everything you're going to share because I didn't start as a child or a teen. I was already an adult, but a very young adult, and frankly, 19. I thought I knew everything I didn't know
Yeah.
ish. So
19 is
to
still
be
young.
honest, yeah, and I'm still learning about myself constantly. So that's just where I'm at with that. So growing up in the belly dance industry, and every time like I think of this and I think of you, like what does that mean to you? Like what is that? If you had to sum it up, like is it identity? Like is it like humanity? Like what does this mean to you?
It's hard. I think growing up in the industry is very difficult going from a student to a professional because everyone is watching.
Hmm.
And that's the part that it makes it harder, because I think that as a kid, it's easy for a lot of people to influence you and a lot of people to have opinions,
Yeah.
and you are held to the standard of an adult when you're a kid in this industry. I felt that I was being held to a standard of an adult, that if I made a mistake, which I'm going to make, I made so many, and I know in the future I will keep making them. But when I was a kid learning it, it wasn't with the same grace and kindness that I feel. Like, it was just harder. It was harder in this industry. Um,
Because
there
you have
was
so much background, so it's a cultural context, a musical context, like what it represents in of different spaces. It's a whole discipline.
Absolutely. And there's a lot to learn about it and doing it respectfully as well.
Mhm.
So,
Tell me a little bit about you're so young when you started. Tell me a little bit about like you mentioned growing up and like finding your way, like finding your identity. What is that like? Because I already know I've been through like midlife crisis, three of them. Like I already know like what is that like going from that face to face to face for you?
So when I started dancing, I originally started with a mentor. So my mom put me in classes and I started dancing. And at the time back then, it was there's a lot of schools of dance, a lot of different like studios for belly dance and this in Miami. And I think everywhere it was before COVID, right? There were still those like big schools.
Big school,
So
yeah.
my mom put me in classes, and at the time I had a mentor, and it was great. I competed. That's where I met you. I
Yep.
competed, and I didn't really know where I was going with it, but I was just going with it, and I liked it, and that's what made the difference. So I really just like liked it, and I kept going. And I remember around like my teenage years when I start rebelling, going off to college, well, going off to like my friends' college parties because I was still in high school. And it was different. It was, as a teenager experiencing that, it was, how remember we talked about it the other day. I don't remember what I said to you.
No, I remember you kind of saying like so basically you have like a mentor. That's what I'm hearing. And basically this mentor, you're going through your rebellion is kind of where you're at. And so I could imagine that maybe your mentor, like, did she ever or he ever kind of also maybe like get angry at you when you would rebel, or
Oh,
is this like only your family,
yes.
or
Yes.
like what does this mean? Like, you know?
Yeah, so I think like the hard part about growing up in the industry was that when it came to mentorship as a child, I felt like I also had individuals in my life that not only being my dance teacher were also taking the role of being my parent. And I don't need that. I have a mom and I think I have a dad. And it was something that I realized as a kid, there was no boundaries because I didn't know better and I didn't understand a lot of what was happening at the time.
That makes
So,
sense.
growing up
Yeah.
in the industry, I'm a teenager going out, and I remember one time I went to a college party, and my mentor at the time, I was training to gig at this point, and
Okay, gotcha. Pro
yeah, so I
gigs.
was training to do gigs and like the whole structure of gigs, and I was being trusted, and now like I thought it was the coolest thing ever, which it still is, you
Yeah.
know. I get trusted to go and put on a 15-minute show at a restaurant. And I remember it was a specific instance that I had that that weekend I was going away to a friend's party. It was a college party. And I was in a troupe, and I told them, hey, I'm going away this weekend, just inform them I'm going away, this, and this. And I was in the midst of like kind of training from going from a hobbyist to a professional, from a
Okay.
kid to like, okay, now I'm taking this seriously. And I remember my mentor at the time, I get back from the party, and one of the girls in my troupe decided to go tell my mentor, oh, she was out partying and she was doing this. So my mentor goes ahead and says, okay, I'm no longer giving you shows. I'm going to go ahead and give it to this girl, which was the one who had told her.
Oh
And
my.
I know. And it's just like such a, for me now, the story, I just laugh at it. It's really like, it's just funny, but it just is a great representation of how growing up in this industry really is hard as a kid when you don't know and you're not developed enough and you're still growing into who you're going to be, your identity as a woman, what you want to do. And that story for me was really kind of like a moment where I said, okay, what am I doing with dance?
Mm.
What is this? Is
Yeah.
this what it's supposed to look like? Is the relationship with dance that I'm gonna have, I don't want to say toxic, but is it gonna be like this? Because to some extent it felt as a kid like a manipulation tactic. I
Yeah.
didn't see it then, but I
Yeah.
think I see it now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like going back and dissecting everything.
Yeah. And probably mentors can easily fall into like that caregiving, like not caregiving, what's that word? Like, yeah, it could be like a parental role, right? Like you just want to make sure the kid's healthy, the kid's safe, they're not acting out, but it is so funny to hear that because as an adult, you don't experience that. And that's very unique to hear. That's not the
Right.
norm of what I ever heard from students or even my own experience. So it's very interesting the boundaries of what that feels like when it's someone so young and so impressionable. Being a very impressionable, I know that we kind of even talked a little bit about like unlearning. Like that was something that I just was like, oh my gosh, like please share about the unlearning because this is just like very interesting to me. Growing up and you have to unlearn things as you progress in the different stages. What is that
Right.
feel?
Well, around the time that this happened, I remember telling my mom, let's put it into perspective. It was right before I went to college
Okay.
and it was high school for me. And I remember telling my mom this scenario and she was like, this is not good. Like, this is something that, like, let's just do your own thing. Do your own thing. And me doing my own thing, I was like, you know what? I just want to go ahead and just keep learning this. I'm going to figure this out. I want to learn from the best. And I remember at the time, Argentinian belly dance was super popular. So
Yes.
I
Remember
took,
travel.
right?
Yeah.
Around that time, Argentinian belly dance was super popular. It's still amazing. It's beautiful. It's great. And I remember that time saying, you know what? I'm going to go to Argentina to study belly dance. As soon as I
Mhm.
graduate high school, I'm going to save my money. I'm just going to go. So that's what I did. I don't know how. I don't know how. I just woke up one morning and I'm like, I'm going to do this. I remember working. I was going to college. I had started my first year of college and saving up that whole year and said, we're going to do it. So I went ahead and I told my parents, and they're like, let's do it. I found a place to live. I had everything. So my intention was to go. I didn't really have a return ticket. So my intention was to go and just try it out. And what I really wanted to do was study more than anything. I'm like, I want to do this the right way. My mind in that, like back then, was the
Okay.
right way academically. And I think our Western world, it really ingrains that in us, that the right way is academia, which, no offense, it's amazing, but for belly dance specifically, that's what I thought was the right way as an 18, 17-year old. So I went to Argentina and I went to um, one of the very biggest schools there. And I was so excited. I was so happy. And I think that I just didn't know what I put myself up for. So this was my unlearning process. It started with this journey. I had let go of my mentor and I said, I'm going to learn. I'm going to keep studying. That's all I can do. So I went ahead and I get to Argentina and I'm super excited. We're going to classes. When I remember Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday morning, walking ten blocks up and down the street. So I get there and I just realized a couple weeks in that I just, I love the dance. I love the art. I was learning so much, but it wasn't what I expected this to be. And I felt more confused. I felt more confused because I felt that I had to fit a mold. When
Mm,
in dance, I wanted to celebrate, like I was learning to be me and I was learning to also find my identity. But instead, I realized that I was being pushed to be someone that wasn't me and fit the exact image that my teacher at that time held.
I knew exactly
So
what you mean because the style there you see in all South America, pretty much they look the same style, like
that, yeah,
same
stylized. Mm-hmm.
same style and the same look and the same hands and the same, it's very particular, the
You have to
style there.
hear the music the same. You have to dance exactly the same to my teacher, right? So my teacher's up here, and then there's all the dancers. And I remember being in one class, and there's, I kid you not, around 60 people. And it crazy on like a Wednesday. And I remember that there was a moment that every single person was doing a passe. It was a passe turn at the same exact time. And I was the only one that could not get that timing because I wasn't used to
It's
it.
different style.
Like I wasn't used to the structure and the level of dance that I was getting at there. So, and I remember my teacher calling me out because she would sit and watch like the whole class and calling me out and saying, "You did that wrong." But it's because I had to do it exactly at that time, exactly the way that the 60 people were doing it.
Mhm.
And I realized, I'm like, I'm here, and the best dancer that I can be is going to be the best version of my teacher I can be. It wasn't going to be the best version of Valentina that would be here and
Yeah.
succeed. And
Mhm.
this was part of my unlearning process that
Yeah.
I started off, my mind was shaped into like first my mentor, and then I break off my mentor. I go to Argentina. I realize it goes under the same kind of archetype of you have to be exactly like your teacher to really succeed
Yeah.
and be your protege and keep going. So I went and I was more confused. Like I went and as excited as I was
Yeah.
confused.
Yeah, I bet because I love the word archetype because in my day, or before my day even, I think I'm the first generation where it was like half and half, and I'll explain here shortly. It was, what school did you go to? Who was your teacher when I was starting at 19? What school did you study under? And I'm like, hmm, this lady up here in Sanford. And then you get into it and you start realizing that was a thing back in those days. And that's so true. It's like the best dancer was who was the copy of the teacher. And you could usually tell, and sometimes you still can. There's still some really big schools out there where you go, she's from that teacher, he's from that teacher, they're from that teacher. Like you can sometimes see it. And
Right.
this is something that is slowly, it seems to be kind of going away in most of what's going on. I know that's like a very interesting topic alone.
Mm-hmm. It really is. And I remember it was exactly that. That was the archetype of what a dancer, of how you'd make it in the industry. And I remember too, like hearing biographies and stuff. Oh, I studied under this person, and now
Yeah,
we all know yeah, which
yeah,
it's
yeah.
nothing wrong with that, like at all. I'm guilty of it. I still have it. I'm guilty of it, and anyways.
It makes
Um,
sense because you had your mentor, and she was part of like a big school of her own, and she followed a very specific style. And then you go to another mentor, you go all the way to South America, and with another of the same type of format or
right,
structure, right? Where you have the teacher, the student, and they have to be the copy to be really successful in that school.
right.
It's usually how it kind of goes. So unlearning that must
Oh,
be a
so I go through that whole process, and then I kept going and I kept going to school because I was learning really good things. And to this day, I still like that knowledge is amazing. I would still do it again, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
But I get back, I was there like around 6 months. I get back to Miami, South Florida, and I was very confused. I'm like, where am I going? What am I doing? And I remember at the time talking to one of my really good friends who she has made a career for herself independently, Valeric. And I remember a lot talking to her and like kind of telling her my experience. And, I think it was beautiful also because at that time had also, she has created such an name for herself. And independently of everything,
Her own
just as an
unique style.
independent dancer, her own unique style.
Mhm.
So that specific point in my journey was such a turning point where I said, I'm doing this all wrong. This is all wrong. I think that we all have to do it this specific way because I'm taught that it has to be a linear path. Like you're going here, this. These are the steps.
Uh-huh.
But it's not because at the time I don't even know who I am as a woman. So how am I going to know who I am as a performer? So that unlearning process, that was the turning point when I get back from Argentina and I'm like, I don't even like it. I don't like seeing my videos. I'm not happy. This isn't the dancer I want to be. Is this even the woman that I am?
Mm. What's
So,
Valentina? Who's
right,
Valentina?
who's Valentina? So I started gigging. I still kept
Mhm.
going. Like dance was always there. Kept going through
Yeah.
college.
Yeah.
I get back. I go to college. This is the timeline. And I'm going through my psychology program, just gigging and keep going. But at the time, taking classes with people everywhere. I was not sticking to anyone. I was just going, whatever workshop I saw, I was like, oh, this looks nice. I'm going to go.
Yeah, yeah.
This looks nice. I'm going to go.
I do that
But
same.
I started to lean more towards Arab teachers, where
Hmm.
I'm now, I'm like, of course, this is where it came from. This is the art. What, like, no offense, like, there's so many beautiful dancers out there, but I want to learn from the culture that I'm representing.
Yeah,
Because at
yeah.
the end of the day, the moment I put on my costume and I go out to dance, it's the culture that I'm representing. So that's what I started to do. I started to learn from Arab instructors mostly, and I started to just get all this knowledge, not only dance, because it wasn't just going into a class and learning a few steps and this is what's happening. No, I started to involve myself in the community. How did that happen too? My psychology degree helped. When I started to do my research, I met so many beautiful women in Orlando, and that also helped me cultivate the dance that I have. It's a learning experience, and I had a teacher once tell me the biggest classroom that you'll ever have is just going out into the world and just absorbing,
First,
see movements, see how people, emotions, all of that, and find who you are. That's going to be your biggest teacher. And I'm like, what? So
true.
that's exactly what I started to do.
So true. Mm. I love it. I love it. Oh, there's so many things there. But yes, I think especially those of us that are like in the West, we're not of the source. Like I'm Colombian, you're Colombian. You know, we're already second generation, and then now we're dipping into a third culture when you get serious into the dance. And that is now it's like three cultures you got to live in and maneuver.
Right.
Sometimes three languages. Three religious, like holidays and things to memorize. It's a whole thing to learn. But I love how that ties into, like, again, that psychology. It made you get into the community. And of course, by nature, when you start gigging professionally too, you definitely, you'll be at the clubs, but not just performing, like just sitting back. You can watch and you can just immerse yourself in the gestures and the way that they act and interact and the jokes. And it's a whole fun experience for sure. There was something that you had told me about, like transforming lives almost. Like this dance just transforms lives in a way, and that sometimes like the answers, how is it like that you're chasing from others are already like inside you.
Yes. And as a kid, I think that there's a lot of people that have a lot of input on your journey and a lot of input on who you are as a woman. Ooh,
Mm,
that
tell me
one.
the
There's a
sauce. Tell me
lot
the
of
sauce.
people that they have a vision of what you're supposed to look like. And they go and tell you what you're supposed to look like. Ooh, Henry's like, yep, he's barking.
He's like, yes, mom.
Yeah. So Sorry. So there's a lot of people that have that input when you're a kid because
Mm.
they want to see you grow up into what they have that image for you,
Their expectation.
their expectations. And um, with all of that in the industry, it, I think, made it harder to find my voice as well.
Yeah, that would make sense because
Hmm.
you're being conditioned.
Yeah,
And from a loving place, but it is conditioning. The whole
absolutely.
how you should look, that's very strong in my day, particular. The long hair, the dark hair. And these are like my first,
Absolutely.
it took a while to, even for me to get Arab teachers. Like the first few years were not Arab until I found my first mentor. And, they have a strong opinion of what to look like and what to wear and body type and should you eat before performing or not. Like there's all these like old school
Right.
notions and they still continue today. It's still very strong.
Yeah. And I remember one time there's a comment that got to me that someone said, I I don't know how she's gonna get booked if she's still like a kid. And for me,
Mm,
that was like, it's very uncomfortable for people to watch you grow in an industry like this. And I felt that and I don't mean it in a victim way at all, but I think it made me have very tough skin that I did feel that I got a lot of backlash the moment I started to grow more and more and more into this industry. And I know that my growth made a lot of people uncomfortable because of the comments I would get and the feedback I would get.
mm,
And it took me a while to learn how to filter that out and not realize that, okay, these people either they care about me or they're just coming from their own insecurities or a little bit of both. And I can't take it personal. So
yeah.
that specific comment, I remember when I heard it. And I remember where I was sitting when I heard it and everything, where it's like, she's never going to get booked because she's too much of a kid. And I said,
Oh,
okay, that's fine. Not a problem. What did I do? I said, let's put all of this energy, all of this anger, all of this like frustration that I felt also too growing up and feeling. I don't want to say like it was traumatizing, but to some extent, it kind of was for me as a kid. So many
mm.
opinions, so many things. And I said, let me take all of this and just prove them wrong. Let me not
Scorpio.
argue. Let me not argue. Let's just prove them wrong. That's okay. You don't think I'm gonna get booked? That's fine. I'm gonna get booked. I'm gonna find a way. Like it's fine. I'm going to work on my craft. I'm going to present my image in a way that is true to me, and
Mm.
I'm gonna attract the right type of client to book me.
Just a very mature thought. A lot of I know women in their 30s, 40s that don't have that down, and that's okay. Guys, not just women, it's like different dancers that come
Mhm.
across that. That's a very strong and bold statement, and I love it. And it's hard, and it's very difficult
And
to
my
do.
mom would always tell me, just do better. Just do the best you can. Just
Mm.
and just do better. Don't speak, just do. And that was what I did.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think one of the things is like I always call it like the mistakes in this podcast. Like there's the mistakes and there's what we learn from it. So it sounds like someone gave you a critique and you took it and you like turned it into motivation. And I can only imagine the critiques are hard as an adult, but then you growing up in the industry, you must have gotten critiques as a child, as a teenager, as a young adult, as the older adult. Like, like have was that like a lot of really deep critiques, or was it usually like somewhat, were there boundaries there? What was the critique process
I
like, and what have you
felt
learned
like
through that, if so?
I felt like I got so many critiques over just like even my personal life, over just like me overall, my image, like being a kid, being
Oh,
wearing costumes as, let's say, an 18-year-old that maybe were a little bit more than what I should be wearing for an 18-year-old. And then, okay, let's dial it back. But then if I dial it back, I'm too much of a kid. So it's like, I felt like from every angle, I was getting so many, like, you should do this. You should do that. You shouldn't be doing this. You shouldn't be dancing that. You should. And I was like, okay, but so then what's the right way? Because damned if I do, damned if I don't. Like anything I did was, I think that's the saying, right?
yeah,
Um, anything I did, I felt like I just didn't know what I was doing because clearly everyone had an opinion. And I did have good. I can't, I did
good.
have also good people. And I don't also want to come off as like, because I'm coming from a place of why I learned this and how it helped me.
Yeah.
But I also had very good people also saying, Valentina, keep your peace. Valentina, set your boundaries.
Mm,
And that's what I learned was that I had to learn to set my boundaries very young. And also, my mom, I think, was a big influence to tell me, no, you need to set your boundaries because this is not okay. Like,
that's
you
awesome.
know, everyone's gonna tell you what you're supposed to look like, but who really should know what you're supposed to look like is you. And that's what I started to develop was not just Valentina as a dancer, but Valentina as a woman. Like, who
Mm,
am I as a woman?
yes, yes. And that's a whole, whew, we're always learning. But
Who
yes, the identity as the dancer. Tell me a little bit about that even. So, like, okay, so critiques, taking that, taking the ones that are great, taking the ones that are maybe brushing off the things, you're finding yourself as a woman, right? Because that's, whew, I can't even imagine critiques as a kid. I probably would have been like, well, I got them, but for music, it's a little different. It's not like my body when it comes to music. So thank goodness for being a musician in that way. I can't imagine. So like, holy cow, amazing. Um, there was also the thing going back about like the pattern. So Valentina, the mentor. Valentina goes to another country. Valentina, the mentor. And then it's like a pattern almost, right? And so I remember you telling me like one of your mistakes was like this whole pattern process. Tell me about that a little bit more. Give me some more.
I think this is like a toxic, I don't want to say a toxic relationship, but if you don't unlearn it, you keep repeating it. And that's what I felt that I kept being tested in a way, like the universe is like testing me with the same pattern.
Mm,
And fast forward, like you said, I come back from Argentina. I start developing myself as a woman. I get into this realization we need to start unlearning this. I start studying everywhere. I said, okay, perfect. I get to where I feel comfortable enough that okay, I think I'm ready to just keep gigging and take this professionally and
yeah.
do this. And so this all goes within the timeline of I lose my internship with the United Nations.
Okay.
So it worked out where I said, okay, let's just go.
Let's dive in.
So I end up moving back home from Orlando. I come
Yeah.
back home to Miami.
Mhm.
And actually, before even, I worked for an entertainment company in Orlando. So I was kind of already like gigging professionally and stuff. And I go ahead and I move to South Florida and I start working for entertainment companies. And I realized that, I'm taking this professionally, keep going. And I realized that I start to fall under the same pattern that I had with my original mentor, which was the idea of like, you have to be what I want you to be,
A certain image, a certain
a
expectation.
certain image, the expectation of this is what I need you to be. And
Hmm.
it's like I can't do better and I can't do less. I don't know how to explain that. Like I can't I felt like my growth was just there. Like I just had to fall under, how
Like
do
a
I
certain range of parameter?
a certain parameter. That's perfect.
Okay.
Because like a certain parameter of like, if you don't do things the way I want it to happen, then we are going to take away your gigs the same way I had it with my first mentor. If,
Gotcha. And that's, yeah, that happens.
yeah.
Hmm.
So I realized that I fell under the same type of mentorship, if that makes sense, of you have, you're developing, and at the time I was now developing as a performer. I'm now developing as someone who in the industry. So that was really, really hard for me because I felt that I was going through the same exact pattern that I did back when I was, what, 15, 16, 17, that age group. It felt very like I'm triggered. This is very similar. That if I'm underperforming, I'm out. Because if I was underperforming when my first mentor, she would have never put me to start gigging. She would have never trained me to
Of course,
go
yeah.
out and gig.
Yeah.
But if I did too good, or if I just kind of just did my own thing, it was like, okay, so you know what, we're gonna give it to someone else,
Hmm.
or we're gonna just take it away from, like, we're just gonna take away shows. And I'm
Yes.
like, oh, interesting. Okay. So I felt like fell back into the same pattern without even realizing it or knowing it. And I guess I learned it after, throughout the process. I learned that, you know what, I think this is the same pattern, and I need to make a name for myself. I really need to just be alone, and I need to figure out again, once again, who I am. Here we are starting again. Let's figure out who Valentina is and what does she have. And I think I realized that too a lot coming back to South Florida, coming back to Miami. I already have a college degree. I'm already like living independently. I'm doing my own thing. And I'm deciding to take this full time, full business. I'm like fully like supported only by dance. So when I decide to do that, I go ahead, fall under the same pattern of my original mentor, that it really did affect me a lot. And I think I didn't realize it until the second time around, that I felt like I really did have to fit an image, or I have to fit the pattern of what my superior wanted me to be.
Yes, which is very common in this industry.
Absolutely.
Most people naturally go in, like if you are a student, like for our listeners, not all of them are performers, or so like if you're a student listening, I remember this very early on. If you are learning very quickly, quicker than the rest of the class, then you people can talk ish about you, say she's a snob, or your teacher will say, "Oh no, 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 you just keep practicing, like just don't add anything," you know,
Yeah. Don't make,
right?
don't add
Don't be
anything.
extra. Like you gotta all look the same, right? Which makes sense in a troupe. But if you have a very strong inner voice that's like calling for something unique, like a troupe is probably not going to fulfill that, but it's a great place to start. Like all of it's so good
Absolutely.
in your journey. If you are an instructor and you're in the workshop circuit, you have sponsors that sponsor you. So if you are really different and your sponsor wants a specific style at their festival and you don't fit it, you're not going to get the job anymore. And if you're a performer and you're an entertainment company, again, like just to put this in all the listeners, like if you are a really highly demanded performer in these groups, the owners will just come direct. Like I got so many gigs at other gigs working. So like they'll come directly to you, even though if you pass the business card of the like person that runs the group, because this was my day. We had business cards. Don't laugh. So
I still have business cards.
okay. I'm not alone. So, like you had to hand them out. And like
Yeah.
one of my gigging mentors was awesome. She's still like one of my mentors today. I love her. I had to pass her. And if someone came to me, I had to go directly to her. Otherwise it was disrespect. It was like cutting corner, you know, like, And if you're a person that can't handle that, you shouldn't be in the group. Like, and that's
Yeah.
okay. It's just, are you individualist? Are you collectivist? Like, what is your goal? Are you wanting to be solo or are you wanting to be the group? It's like NSYNC and Justin Timberlake. He was good in NSYNC and he was cool when he went solo. But the boy wanted to go solo. You can't hate him.
Right. And that's the thing. I don't think it's wrong. I just think it wasn't me, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
What sent you?
It's just, it wasn't me, but it's not wrong.
No.
Like, for me, it just wasn't me. And, there's people that are okay also that, like, they have other goals for themselves in this dance. They don't have the goals that I like. There's a couple dancers that are, sorry, Henry. Sorry.
No, it's okay. I was
Oh,
laughing because I was reading a comment, Anastasia. Don't be little business cards. They still work. Okay, thank you. I think
we
they still
love
work too.
business cards. We love business cards.
Still use them.
We love business cards. But yeah, no, like there's different goals. Like, I know a lot of dancers that work independently like I do, and we have very similar, like, okay, well, this is kind of how we work now. And then there's other dancers that are like, I don't want to do schedules. I don't want to figure anything out. I just want to show up.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
just want to dance.
Yeah.
And some dancers have a day job that also allows them to, like, have the ability to just be like, oh, I just want to take these types of parties, or I just want to do this, and just book me for this.
Yeah.
So at the time, I realized that it just doesn't align with who I am. So that was another part in my journey that I felt that I went back to the original mentorship mentality, that the way I make it in this industry is being under someone, not being me.
Got it. Got it. Makes total sense. Total
Yeah.
sense.
And
Mm-hmm.
I broke off from the entertainment companies fully, like all of them. I only work with one that like contracts me independently, if that
Okay.
makes sense. Like they do samba, they do a whole bunch of entertainment, but then they just call me when they need a belly dancer,
Yeah.
and like they put their fee on top of my rate. So I like found like a couple, like that specific entertainment company that calls me once in a while, but I broke away from everything,
Mm-hmm.
even from the dance community, because I felt that brought up a lot of things in me that I just was like, how are you reliving this whole pattern once again? And what, I'm 28 now, and that was like a couple, like 2 years back, maybe. And I was like, Valentina, who are you? What are you doing? You chose to do this as your career. You're not doing this. And I think this is another thing that I mean it in the most respectful way. You're not doing this out of necessity,
Mm-hmm.
because I have a degree.
Mm-hmm.
Tomorrow my dance business fails. Hopefully never. But tomorrow my dance business fails. I have a degree I'm going to fall back on. I'm going to
Get a
go
job.
and run out once again, and go and cultivate the psychology degree that I have, the love that I had for researching, the love that I had for women's mental health specifically. So I said to myself, Valentina, if you're gonna do this, remember what your mom told you. If you're gonna do this, you do it the right way, but you
Mm-hmm.
do it the way that speaks to you.
Yeah.
And that means taking the shows that align with who I am, working with the people that align with my values. And that's a big one. I had to, like really set
Oh yeah.
boundaries and cut off a lot of people in just for my own health. And I think I also disappeared from the dance community for a bit to just really like evaluate, Valentina, what are you giving? What are you putting into this? Who are you? Like, and I think in the last couple, I'll say 3 years, my business just skyrocketed.
Mm-hmm. You
My
got clarity.
dance completely changed. And my dance changed not I don't want to say for the better, but it changed for the me, for the authentic me. Like now I watch my videos and I'm like, that's me.
Uh-huh.
That's how I laugh. That's not how my teacher laughs. That's how Valentina laughs. That's how Valentina expresses joy. That's how Valentina expresses pain. That's how Valentina expresses sadness. It's not anymore what I would be like back in the day, seeing my videos and saying, that's not me.
So interesting. Yes, yes, yes,
And
yes.
I realized the moment that I found me and I found like I'm still evolving, you know? Who knows? Tomorrow something might change. But I noticed that the moment I found like that voice and I stopped hearing all of these little voices like just saying you know you're too much of a kid, you don't have the body, or like you still have a kid body. Oh, that was great. Like all of these little like things that I would hear. Now it's like, okay, it's okay because I'm getting booked for me. I'm not getting booked for this girl down the street. I'm not getting booked for that. I'm getting booked for being me.
Yes.
And that's the type of client that I want regardless. I want the client that calls me and says, I like who you are. Like I like what you do. I want you. I don't want the client that's just like, I've coded with 10 other people. What's your rate?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Similar sentiment for sure.
Yeah.
Totally.
So I changed my mentality of like, it's no longer I'm I need to make it in this industry. I need to get booked. I need to do this. I need to do that. I need to align myself with the right people to get what want out of this industry. No, now it's like I just want to be me. That's it.
Mhm.
And it really did change a lot. It changed a lot of my internal happiness, and I do feel happier. I feel um before I felt like I was very anxious about dance. I was very depressed about it, but also wanting to still pursue it. Like, and using depressed not lightly. Like, I know that I went through a lot of phases that I was not okay with this dance, and I've cried over it so much. I've shed so many tears, and I still do. Don't get me wrong, I still do. But now it's because of just now the standard that I hold for myself. It's no
Mhm.
longer the standard that I think everyone's holding for me. I don't care anymore about that. I tuned it out and said, okay, Valentina, do what's best for you
Mhm.
and what you want to look like, who you want to be, how good of a person you are. Like, let that also cultivate it. Like, I felt like I was also becoming someone I'm not, trying to survive.
Mm. Oh, that's deep.
Exactly. So,
Just so much input all the
so
time.
much.
Here,
Hmm.
that makes sense. Would you say maybe it's just like to bundle it up into like solutions, right? Like, what are some solutions for someone? If you have a dancer listening and she is or he is a teenager, what
Hmm.
would one of your solutions that helped or that you would advice you would give them to make it? You know, like to be okay, to find themselves.
To find themselves. Yeah, because that's the thing. I say make it, but I don't mean it. And like, I made it. I didn't. I made it for me.
No, I know.
For
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
You
for
found your,
me. Like, yeah, like I made it in the sense that I'm happy with me.
yeah,
Like, I'm happy with what Valentina brings to the table now.
for sure.
One of the like I know for sure boundaries. Boundaries is like a big one. Boundaries with work, boundaries with your personal life, boundaries with everything in dance. I realized that I have set so many boundaries.
Good for you.
And that really did also change like valuing my time
Mm-hmm.
with boundaries. And just not allowing my energy also to be consumed so much by all of the noise. And that's a big boundary for me, is
That's a big
knowing
one.
when to shut off my brain,
Yeah.
which is hard, but just to shut it off and say, you know what, just keep going. But those boundaries is that for me was something that I learned. And I think I would tell 10-year-old me, and it's such a therapist thing to say, what would you say to your 10-year-old self? Boundaries.
That
But I'm
makes
proud of you for learning it.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I'm
Yeah,
like constantly developing new ones, and I think I will continue to.
I know.
Learning more things the longer you're in the industry. Like who to trust, who
Absolutely.
not to trust.
Yes, that's a big one. Also, like learning your circle, who your
Yes.
circle is, and who
Tribe.
really has your intentions, and trusting that inner voice that you have.
Yes. What would be like another solution you'd say to someone else listening that like what else would help?
I think one of the biggest ones is like confidence.
That's a big one, yeah.
It's
Finding that
it's a little like it's hard for me to say learn confidence because it's something that you start to gain. Yeah, you can't just learn it. But
experience.
confidence,
Mhm.
ooh, that goes very like hand in hand with identity. Because when you learn and see who you are and your identity and you figure that out, I feel that the confidence comes right behind it.
Yeah, and it'll kind of pour through your business too. I mean, I know a lot of dancers that are amazing, beautiful humans, but you get them into a business deal or a contract, they don't know what it breaks apart. It's just like it really can do so much more, not just for yourself, but for your brand, your business, your success. When you feel that in you, it just kind of radiates, and then you like share it, like it just comes out. You know, it's a big one.
Yeah, and that confidence also that I think as a booker, you know this too. It's like when is it the right time and the wrong time to say no? Like when is it the like you can say
Mhm.
no
Yeah.
and knowing your value and that type of confidence as well.
Saying no is like a wonderful thing. And sometimes you say no and the client's like, no, 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 never mind. I'm like, well, no.
Yeah. I remember I think I was telling you about this a restaurant called me the other day and this owner he tells me
Oh.
he's like, I've heard about you. I want to have you for I want you at my restaurant. How you dance at this specific restaurant basically every single Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday. He's like, so I want to. How do I make that for my restaurant? And I'm like, okay, interesting. So I get this phone call, and I think this is where the confidence like ties in. I think younger me would have been like, yeah, of course, yeah, let's just go, let's do it, let's make it happen. Like, this is my rate, let's do that. Now I was like, okay, I get it, let's try it, but like, let me see if this is a good fit for me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I remember him like kind of like reverse interviewing me, and he's like, well, why, like, why are people recommending you? Like, why are they saying that, I should hire you? And I'm like, you shouldn't. Like, honestly, if you even have that question, you shouldn't. Like, I want you to hire me because you saw me and said, this is a good fit for my restaurant. So, you're not like obligated at all to hire me
Yeah,
because you heard that. So I was like, so it's okay. Don't worry. Like, you'll call me back when you're ready. And he's like, oh no, I'll see you Thursday. We're doing a photo shoot for this, and this. And, I'm launching my restaurant. So I want you to come. And I'm like, okay.
yeah.
But I think it's also that I learned my place and
Mm-hmm.
also saying like no is okay. And
Yes.
being okay, like learning what gigs align with you, what don't. And that confidence and not coming from a scarcity mentality also I feel like it shifted my business.
Yes.
I'm okay with the opportunities that I'm getting and like the things that have passed my way because maybe they just weren't meant for me. So that's scarcity, the abundance mentality really changed the way that I view my business
Oh yeah.
because the scarcity I feel like screams hunger. It screams like I'm not really confident in who I am and I need to get whatever comes to me.
Yeah. Yeah. And the client or anyone around you, your circle, they'll feel that energy. And again, you can have
Absolutely.
scarcity and be the best human in the world and have a successful business too, right? But
Absolutely.
it's a very different energy that it's going to give out when it's abundance. And they can both succeed because I have a partner who's scarcity mindset and he's awesome. And I'm abundance mindset since I was a kid and I'm awesome too. Like you can succeed
In
in both, but it's
either.
very
Absolutely.
different. But yeah, it definitely helps with getting confidence, gigs, and like having the right fit, like you say, for sure.
The right fit.
confidence. And you have to go through a lot and have a tough skin to get that confidence sometimes, especially in belly dance.
Absolutely. Especially
I
growing
love
up in
that
it.
story. I love
I
that story. I just love it.
know.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Personally, like I found it really crazy helpful to have mentors in specific moments. I never had a long standing, like, I don't look like anybody. Like I always train with everybody. Like I'm very like, whoever, wherever, like I just take from whatever. But I definitely found it really helpful, and maybe this can help other people, to have mentors that were a lot older than me. Because then it wasn't like this, like I love competition, like healthy competition, right? So I want to be like one of those people, but I would want to say like they were at a point where they've been there, done that.
Mm-hmm.
And they can just like share it with no F's given. And their experiences, good and bad. And it would just like prepare me for like the future, you know? Like now, you know, one of my like mentors in life, I love her. She gives me advice on like, put cream on your chest so you don't get wrinkles. I mean, I love this
I
stuff.
love
Like
it.
the behind the
Yeah.
curtain again, you know? And it's just like, yeah, because I can have a mentor that's my age and they're awesome. They're talented. They're doing all the things, but they haven't like, I love to hear the, what does that look like 10, 20 years later? Like
Right.
that's like a different feeling
Mm-hmm.
from that type of exchange of knowledge that I think was always interesting. And so I never had like fights with a mentor or like issues with a mentor, because I think that helped. I think when you're,
Absolutely.
that's my crazy bit, like of a possible solution.
Absolutely. No, I totally see that having like a mentor that is in a different also like yeah, stage in life as well. They have a lot of wisdom and maturity to give you versus like I feel like someone younger sometimes too it can like it's like they want you to succeed but never more than them, if that makes sense. Like I felt like that came a
Yeah.
lot for me, that it was like I want you to be good but like I'm still doing like I it can't be anything better than me. And
The
as
scarcity mindset.
the scarcity mindset, and
Yeah.
I think as a dancer too, like it's yeah, it's a lot. I love like the older mentors. I love it. I love hearing it. I love hearing their
Who?
stories.
There.
Yeah.
Who? Oh my goodness. We're at the point now.
And
We're gonna read some commentary.
yes, I don't know why I don't see the comments on my end, but
Oh,
I don't know. But you,
I don't think you're alone. Don't worry. It's just like we get into it, and so everyone, thank you. We get into it, and I see them, but I'm like, I'm paying attention. Like I'm in it, you know. Let's see. Okay, thanks everyone for joining. Thank you all. Hi, William. Thank you. Okay, we got some claps. We got. There was something down here. Hi, ladies. Oh, hi, Cam. He says hi. Emeraldina, all Saida copies. Yeah, and I mean, there's many famous dancers
yeah,
that
it's a
have
lot of
really
dancers.
schools. Yeah, and South America, Saida is a huge one. Yamil is a huge one. I mean, there's like several, right? And here in the United States, you can totally still find lots of those schools where everyone is like their teacher, and like that works for a lot of people. That's okay. But
Yeah,
yes,
it
it will
is.
be eventually a clone if you only have one style of teacher. Like you will look like that if you don't expand and cross train.
Mm-hmm.
Cam, she said unlearning process. She sure did. She said unlearning. Yes, you betcha.
I
Because of
love
that,
it.
you have to unlearn the one thing that everyone's dishing at you when you're young. Oh, oh my goodness. Golf Pro Khadija, hi. People are always have something to say and always offer unsolicited
Oh,
advice to others when it's not needed. And it's so annoying because it's so negative for no reason.
absolutely, absolutely. And I think that's something that I like. I put myself in the position. I'm like, I don't know. I see there's beauty in everyone, in everything. There really
There
is.
really is.
Any dancer I see now, I'm like, there's just beauty in everything. Like it's why? Why do we have to see the negative? Why can't we also encourage the positive?
Yes.
Yeah.
Um, Sari Sari, yes, I've seen this a lot. Don't belittle business cards. Okay, I remember that.
The business card.
Tabitha, she loves that for you about like finding your voice through it all. Oh, Rosa. Pick Rosa. I respect the both of you girls. Been trying to join. Can I join? Oh, girl, sorry, we did not see that. But don't worry. Um, let's see. I've tried and I have so much insight. Oh, girl, yes, please. If you have more, like if you want to share your experiences on this topic, like growing up weird. After this, I always post the interview, Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, everywhere. So please, please, please share your insights because other people watching this will see your commentary. Like it's a community, y'all. Um, let's see. Valentina, does all your business come from referrals or do you market yourself a lot?
Honestly, a lot of my business comes from Instagram. Most Instagram and TikTok and word of mouth. So I focus a lot on social media and the way that I don't really how do I say it? I sell without selling. I just post a lot of my shows. I'm consistent on social media and notice that I'm getting most of my shows is just by showing up and posting and being there. And somehow it goes to other people and I get messages like that. I've gotten a lot through TikTok, the most random thing because I barely use TikTok, but I get a lot of people messaging me through TikTok
Oh,
because
you're
I guess they see a
in there.
video.
There we go. Now you're back. Go ahead.
Oh, okay, sorry. Is it good now?
It's gotten better. You were
Oh,
like all pixelated. Now
okay.
you're like slightly
Okay.
pixelated. It's coming back.
And a lot of business from TikTok and just like word of mouth, like clients who've already hired me and then they recommend me to someone else. But social media is powerful.
Yes, I would say that's like the new age of marketing, and for many
Right.
people, like social media is one avenue for sure. For like a lot of, I would say like a lot of like the younger dancers in my community love the social media. They're into it. Oh, what is going on with the internet? Oh, if you can hear me. But there's also, you can do your website, you can do listings, you can do a whole bunch of things.
Yeah.
Um, and then let's see. Anastasia, I'm so happy you found who you are. I remember we talked a little over a year ago that you didn't want to perform anywhere more. What has shifted that you found joy in it again? Because I can see the joy again in you.
I just what shifted is that I just stopped caring about everyone else's opinions. Like I really did. And I put all that energy in me. I like have fully like transformed to like working out, to feeling good about my body, eating healthier, um, being with like in friendships and relationships that also cultivate a very good and happy environment. And I think what also shifted a lot is that before I used to be very consumed with dance, where I didn't also know how to balance it with my personal life. And now I think that a big shift was that I take a vacation. I give myself a Friday off a month. I make it a point to have a normal life.
Mm-hmm.
And I now approach dance differently. Like maybe before I used to take a whole bunch of workshops. Now, you know what? I want to go see this Arab DJ. And to me, that's a learning lesson. That's
Yeah.
a learning environment. Why not? I want to learn more music. I want to do this. So I shifted the mindset where it's like, honestly, if I'm not happy, I can give this up. But there's very few people that get to do what I'm doing. So, like, do it and have fun with it, but
Mm-hmm.
also learn the balance, see friends outside of dance, see my family more. Don't skip holidays. I know that working on New Year's Eve and getting double pay or more than that is so amazing, but it's okay to not do it too.
Mm-hmm.
It
I
doesn't
had to learn
make you
that.
a bad dancer. It makes you actually a really good dancer too.
Mm-hmm.
So
You got to do what makes you
that
happy.
shifted for me is that I just completely reshaped my mindset. And
Love it.
I was in therapy, and honestly, my therapist helped me a lot to reshape that
Mhm.
mindset.
I love that. It
Mhm.
works.
Yes.
From Trisha Rocks. How do you ensure that someone from TikTok is legit? There are so many scared people out there on the internet. That's a great question.
So true. Um, Honestly, I have kind of like a system for myself where the way that I get their information for booking and stuff, and I have phone calls and I trust my gut. One, I trust my gut. Two, I have a system in place where it also allows me to kind of filter out anything that's not legit. And honestly, they have been in the area. I don't go alone to gigs that I'm not really sure of. So that's really how I ensure that, everything goes well. But I do feel like I have a good filter out system of the inquiries that I know are legit and ones that I'm like, absolutely not, I'm not going there. And I do notice the TikTok generation that actually asks me for shows are actually younger girls that are either doing their quinces or like,
Right.
my sister's in the TikTok generation, she's 15. And it's usually like the younger like girls that are like, oh my gosh, I saw you and this is so cool. Can you come to my quince or can you or you know what, my wedding. That's another one. My wedding. And I like they send me the wedding invitation, like the hey, it's gonna be here, here, here. So that kind of all of that stuff helps me filter out. But there also has been some that I do say no to.
Well, yeah,
Because
because you'll get like a,
never know.
or they'll say something weird, or they'll type something weird. It's true. Like there's no way to be 100%, but I think there's a gut check when you've done this and for enough time, you'll kind of know like this feels weird, or this question they asked was off, or they use this word and this word kind of gives me the ick. Like
Right.
there's certain things that are just like, nah. I'll just say I'm
Mhm.
booked. I say it all the time. I'm
I'm
like, oh, I'm
booked.
sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be like, oh, okay. I'll be like, oh, so, oh, dang, actually, I'm booked. My bad.
That's my favorite. I'm booked.
I'm booked. Sorry. And again, we're very privileged, and
Yeah.
to do that because I remember the time when in more famine times when gigs were low, like one time, like it could feel like you have to say yes. So
Absolutely.
a lot of this is from a place of privilege for sure. Um, Khadija, how do you continue to find joy in this dance? Because people can bring so much negativity. As of lately, I'm struggling to find joy, is why I'm asking. Oh, girl. Oh.
I know. Honestly, it's it's not that I don't always find joy in it, and I will tell you that it's not always, not at all. Like there's so many moments that I'm like, I can't, I can't do this, and I just had a breakdown like last week about it too. I was like, oh my gosh. It's like sometimes it really does get exhausting and it's beautiful and I mean it in the best way possible. But sometimes really like the way I really do find joy is by tuning out. By I need to go on vacation. I need to go somewhere. I need to have a weekend away from dance. I need to go and get inspired somewhere else. And and it's hard when you monetize off of your art because it's hard to this is where I once found joy and now I'm like okay, my joy also depends on my income and all of that is just kind of like tied in together. So really it's removing myself from it, going to the beach, going to do something normal, going to the movies, going like out on a date, like doing anything that is completely out of the norm for what my lifestyle looks like now and changing like scenery. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I just cocoon and I call it my cocoon phases. I just cocoon, I disappear from dance for a bit, from the dance world, from like the people. And because I realize that sometimes that's the noise that doesn't bring me the joy. It's the dancing, that aspect brings me the joy. The rest of it, I don't need it. So that cocooning also is the way that I'm able to find joy in it again.
Finding those simple human things.
Finding it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It took me until more in my 30s to find that out. So you're on a great track for sure. Anastasia, how do you see yourself in 10 to 20 years? Would you mainly gig or grow other businesses?
Honestly, I don't see like as much as I love gigging, I don't see myself doing it in 20 years. I really don't.
Okay.
I see myself dancing. I see myself doing different projects. I see myself bringing back psychology and now integrating it with dance. I do see myself going through different paths, but I'm also right now, for now, I'm enjoying gigging. For right now, that's where I have my passion. But in 20, 10 years from now, I do also want to explore other routes. And I know that I'm someone who, I don't want to say gets bored easily, but I always want to have something new and something different and challenging myself. And I want to be able to also use the degree that I have. And I know I'm using it right now with business and other aspects, but I want to be able to also bring back the women's mental health aspect of it. And hopefully that's how my future looks like.
Got it. No, makes sense. Mariana, so proud of you, Valentina. Wasted most of my 20s being too concerned and worried about what other people thought, / were projecting their insecurity and lack onto me. Bravo. Aw, thank you, Mariana.
Mm,
So, oh, hi,
so
sis. My sister's
sweet.
on. Hi, Soph. Love you too. And then, and Khadijah said thank you for sharing all of that. So, thank you, everyone, for your questions. We hope that, again, we can reach more people in the community. And, I guess the most youngest members of our community need a lot of support too. But again, don't overwhelm or confuse them or overbear them. Something to keep in mind, right? Especially if you're a teacher, a sponsor, oh my gosh, like there's just so many different avenues. If you're a booking entertainment agency, like there's just a lot of avenues in this industry you can take, frankly, author, like all the things. So I think that this was very insightful for what to consider about what it's like to go through that. And maybe we can be better teachers, people, humans, comrades, etc., bookers to help cater to that. And then hopefully some people that are younger, like younger, listening to
Mhm.
this, just know that it's normal. I mean, like, it's totally normal to just be like, who the heck am I? I think finding your voice,
Absolutely.
wow, what a goal already. Just finding your goal, like your voice at anyone in any age is hard enough. So imagine. So thank you so much for all the insights and like what that's kind of like. And it makes so much sense. It could be so confusing. So
I
confusing when
know.
everyone has an opinion. Yeah.
I know. And honestly, I will say, like, be kind with yourself and treat others with kindness. Sometimes that just goes a longer way.
That's
You
very
know, it just like kindness in all of it. And cultivating that and just staying true to who you are and not letting like people turn you cold or turn you into someone that you're not. Stay true to who you are. And that kindness really goes a long way.
that's
And
very
yeah, but kindness with yourself too, because it's not easy. And not only belly dance industry, any industry. I think that whoever really is navigating, learning who they are and their identity, not
yes. Thank you so
easy.
much, Valentina. I appreciate it. I think everyone had a great
Well,
time today
thank
with it all.
you. I love talking to you.
Same, boo. Everyone enjoy your night, and we'll be posting this soon. So if you have anything else you want to share, it'll be up here very shortly, and we'll go from there. And if you want to learn more about Valentina, definitely follow her on Instagram. You can follow her page. She has a website. She has all the things. So go find her.
Perfect.
Valentina Giraldo is her Insta, and you'll find her all throughout. So have a great night, everyone, and take care. Bye.
Bye.